What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Today, we're doing our retro review of Todd McFarlane's Spawn, the animated series. But before we get into all of that, fun, Dave, Doug, how's it going, gentlemen?
Well, Keith, I am fan-freaking-tastic. Hey, Doug, how are you doing?
Well, as you can see, I'm drawing some beautiful art. There we go.
Oh, wow, nice. Yeah.
Thanks. Now, gentlemen, if you had to choose between losing your soul to eternal damnation or walking on your partner mid-thrust with your worst enemy and then cranking it in the corner, what would you pick? I'm Doug McFarlane, co-host of Not Your Status Quo, and some say there's a fine line between justice and vengeance, but let's be real. Sometimes it's just a big, flaming neon sign that says, bad decisions this way. Bad decisions in watching this show. This shouldn't exist. I have nightmares. Now in tonight's story, those lines blur even more. Mercenaries, demons, and government agents all doing their best impressions of morality. While our boy Spawn, just the god king of heroes, better than anything ever, Marvel suck it. While our boy Spawn, he just wants a nap. And maybe one decent hug. Go alone. I mean, but in a world of dark, there are no safe spaces, only alleys, clown demons, and questionable parenting decisions. Keith, how are you?
Well, I'm tremendous. And after that amazing introduction, I think we should jump right in to Spawn. Episode 3, No Rest, No Peace, and Dominoes. That's episode 4. So, our boy Tony Twist hires a cyborg hitman, Overkill.
Yep.
A little bit on the nose there. Who fails to eliminate Spawn, as many of you may have guessed.
No.
So he threatens our boy Tony Twist, tells him to keep away. And then I got to say something. In the first, oh, good, Doug's back. Yes, good.
Yes.
In their first little fight, for a hired hitman, a professional, he didn't go check to see the body. The stuff collapsed on him. He was just like, I'm out of here. Job well done. I'm like, you don't see the body, they ain't dead. I guess,
I want to back up with
comic.
something. I want to back up with something real quick, because you got to love when a writer or an artist kind of puts themselves in a corner and they don't know how to get out of it. So we were talking previously in our last video, our last retro review, talking about how like over the top and edgy, Spawn seems to be. He's like, the comic book writer of the 90s wet dream. They want this super edgelord, huge flowing cape, spikes everywhere, demon powers, psychokinetic chains. But now they've figured out, oh no, we made him too invincible. Oh, we've got to give him, he needs a kryptonite. So they do what every, show should do. They tell us, don't show us. They're like, oh, yeah, by the way, we forgot to mention before. It turns out that he's not immortal, and that if he does get injured enough, by the way, it's the suit. It's not his body isn't magic. Apparently now his suit is what is magic. So they go to great lengths to tell us his magic suit has limitations, and if he gets injured enough, he'll go to hell. And that's what the devil wants. No, hold up. You told us in the last episode the devil turned him into a hell spawn to bring about hell on earth. But now you're saying, well, actually, no. He's got some magic powers, but not a lot of magic powers, but enough magic powers, but not enough to keep him alive. So, Danger. I'm a writer.
Yeah, it's really weak. I gotta say, I think I overrated it last week with 4.5, but I was willing to give it a chance. But
Yeah.
these two, now, well, the best part of the show, I think Keith David barely had any lines at all, and I'm thinking,
He's
like,
too damn good.
yeah, and every character is the most cliche of that character that you can find anywhere. What's the mob guy we just said his name?
Tony
Tony
Twist.
Twist.
Tony Twist.
And then what was the cyborg assassin's name?
Overkill.
Overkill.
Overkill. Yeah, okay. That's wow. My God. How old was Todd when he wrote all of this?
12.
12? Had to be because
A 12-year-old writing for 10-year-olds. It's sad.
oh, this is gonna be amazing. He's gonna go blam blam boom kick punch ow ah. Right. Okay, Todd, that's great. Those are the actions. What is the script? Well, that was a script. Boom.
We'll just show a bunch of action scenes and then I'll narrate over it.
And
tell you
narrate
what's
over it.
going on.
Yes, Dave. Oh my gosh, that is, and that happens. It's like every single time they must have gotten like a rough cut of the episode. Like, we forgot the average person isn't gonna get this. We didn't explain it. Hold on, let me jump in the voice recording booth real quick.
Every hellspawn, first thing they do is realize that. It's like, oh my gosh, stop. But I just want to give a shout out, Cajun's blurred eyes out there in the chat. What's going on, sir?
All right.
Good to see you.
Nice. Welcome, sir.
And
We are talking Spawn. I'm sorry, we're talking Todd McFarlane's Spawn.
I think my favorite part of this first episode was he kind of gets beat by Overkill. So what does he do? He goes and robs a bunch of weapons from the U.S. government. Why?
Specifically, Keith, hold up. Come on. Remember, we've got to be over the top and edgy. He broke into a secured CIA weapons depot. I don't think Todd knows what these government agencies do. Because, I don't think that would be a thing. Maybe the FBI. I could see them having, a weapons depot or something. I can't imagine the CIA would have... I know that according to their backstory, Spawn was a, not just a Marine, but the best Marine that ever Marined.
He was John Stewart.
Then he was even better than John Stewart. He was 12 John Stewarts, apparently. So good that not only was he recruited by the CIA, but he was also recruited by, oh my gosh, what is the other agency? It was the CIA, the NSA, and also some other organization.
It was wasn't it some CIA,
Secret
NSA
Service.
mix? Or something
Yeah,
crazy
something like that.
NCIS.
So
Yes.
probably that
IBM.
too. CSI New York.
ASCAP.
Sure.
STIOP.
Also, there was that time that I was part of ICE, but we don't talk about that.
But it just cracks me up. He creates this demon hellspawn character, and then he's like, okay, he has demon powers. But he needs more. He needs military grade weapons. Oh, because every hellspawn goes back to what they know, and he was a trained killer for them. I'm like, is this real? I'm still not 100% convinced that this isn't you two just punking me. This isn't a real show.
No.
This is you two somehow got this on Max, and you're like, oh my God, we're going to punk Keith so much. We're going to force him to watch this drivel, and we're going to pretend we're doing a retro review. How did this get on TV?
It's terrible. That clown character guy is the worst. I don't understand. I have to turn on the closed captioning because I don't know what he's saying. With all this talking like that, I don't know what he's saying. He's supposed to be a scary clown from hell, and I have no idea what he's
Dave,
talking about.
You know that Violator's true form is terrifying.
Yeah, like a big plant, like from like from Little Shop of Horrors, you know.
I don't understand the appeal of this show to anybody. Even like the extreme edgelord people who love it. This is like bad.
Yeah, I don't know who the target audience was for this. That is an excellent point, Keith, because I feel like if I was aware of this, again, we talked about this last week, but when this came out, it was on HBO, which, as you know, in the 90s, this is still is, but it was a paid cable channel, and not everybody had it, unless you had the extra money to put out on additional channels. When I was growing up, there was a lot of channels you had to pay extra for. You had to pay extra for the Disney Channel. I didn't have that growing up. You had to pay extra for HBO and Showtime. So I assume the people who this was targeted towards was supposed to be adults that wanted to see this adult animation, but they also had to be fans of comics, but not just any comic, specifically like Frank Miller Batman comics only, I guess.
Todd McFarlane is like, we'll say a 12-year-old. We'll stick with the theme. A 12-year-old who loves Frank Miller that doesn't get the subtleties of Frank Miller.
There you go.
And he's like, I'm going to do this Frank Miller type comic. He's going to love it. It's like...
But I'm going to go even further.
He doesn't know
By the way,
hardcore.
It was 1997, and there was 3 seasons, so it was 97, 98, 99.
Okay.
That beautiful.
Fits. And Cajun did say, I try to watch this Spawn, but I think it's the 90s in a bad way.
Yeah.
It is.
It is. Oh, trust, dude. We are trying to watch this. We are doing our best. We put it out on the Facebook page. We asked folks, what do you want us to break down and review next? We've got a few open dates, before Andor starts. And overwhelmingly, people voted for Spawn. So I don't know if there's some nostalgia there or if, like Keith said, if somebody just screwing with us.
I mean, it's almost like, we didn't finish My Uncle from Another World. And I don't feel like finishing this season 1.
Oh, Dave, we're finishing it. Next Monday, we'll be back.
Left
We're going to somehow get through that last 50 minutes of this show.
Oy.
Because, Dave was talking in the chat about he can't believe it's only been like 25 minutes when he's watching it.
Mm-hmm.
It is not like a good show when it's like, oh my God, that 3-hour movie went by. It felt like, 20 minutes. This 25 minutes feels like an hour. Like I thought I was late coming back from lunch at work. I was like, oh man, oh wait, I punched in back early. I'm okay, good. Holy cow.
Well, I was watching it, and then, it got kind of boring, it does. And I looked down at my phone for a minute, the screen went blank, and I was like, oh, that episode's over. And then they just come on and keep going. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. I didn't miss the switch over? And I clicked on it, and it was like, I got 4 minutes left. I mean, what do you mean?
What do you mean? There's still more? Okay, well, I've got a question for the two of you because I could not for the life of me figure this out. And I went back and I tried to rewatch it again today to figure out what I'm missing. And I still cannot gather it. Maybe I've just gotten so used to them narrating everything to me. But what exactly happened when Al broke into that weapons depot place? I heard something about your first teleport is always the hardest. What did he do exactly?
He was being attacked when he came out, and the suit teleported him back to the rat alleyway or whatever.
That's
as far
what
as I can tell.
Thought happened. But then, okay. Additional question. His best friend, now his wife's new husband, his ex-wife's new husband, he made a comment when he brought all of this to his boss, who I believe is the same person that's been ordering Tony Twist around.
It is.
So he brings all this information to his boss, like, hey, some things aren't adding up. And then, he watches this video and he's thinking to himself, or he may have said it out loud. I think it was in his head. He goes, this looks just I haven't seen a move like this since Al Sims. And it's like, you haven't seen a dude with chains and a giant cape teleport away with weapons? Is that what your partner did when you were both in the Marine/CIA/NCIS/whatever the hell else you were doing?
IBM.
See, I'm glad I wasn't the only one. When he said that, he's like, I haven't seen a move like that since Al Simmons. And I'm like, he could do this when he was normal? Like,
Right. He had moves, man.
What are we talking about?
You know, and as I'm watching this, and it's funny because I stopped it and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to figure out this story. And there's probably actually a pretty good story in all of this. Like, you know, the congressman's kid, the guy who is head of the mob and also head of the CIA, I believe. Somehow both. He's pushing that congressman to become the president so he can, because he has all the skeletons in his closet, and his kid is a pedophile. The congressman's kid is a pedophile that they put some other kid up and said he's guilty, you know, like that Wanda has now got, you know, him freed from jail, proving he wasn't the one who did it. And now her husband, who is Al's best friend from when he was alive, is working for a guy who is hiding, you know, stealing weapons from the CIA because, you know, the CIA has hordes of weapons. They don't.
For reasons.
Yes.
And apparently they're I love how they purposely make sure to, this is one thing they do tell you. They're letting us know that they're going to ship these weapons to all the bad countries. Is a deal going through with North Korea? Did I say that out loud into a microphone that I knew that was on enough? I'm like, okay, again, we're going with the, you know, clearly written by a 12-year-old, I guess.
And like I said, it's almost a good story. They got these different plot threads going on.
Oh yeah,
if
sure.
they took any time to develop them, they could be good. But then I'm like, oh, okay. So this main villain guy who's working the mob, who has this congressman whose kid is a pedophile, who Wanda Freedom is now has evidence that who the real child killer is. And then it just so happens her husband is the one who notices these shipments from the CIA going missing and a discrepancy.
What are the odds?
And the thing, and I'm like, oh boy, this in no way is going to end with, you know, Spawn coming in and saving his ex-wife and his best friend at the end from this shadowy CIA figure who has his hand, you know, he's the puppet master for future presidents and the mob and all these things. And, you know, at one point I was happy. They actually showed the mob. They showed Tony Twist fully clothed without naked women all around him.
Thank God.
And I was like, oh my God, they actually can do it. And then the CIA agent comes to visit him, kills boy. No one can ever know I'm here. You didn't have to kill him.
Oh my God, that was so dumb. I'm like, yeah, a 12-year-old would have written that. That was ridiculous. Oh, just kill him. You know.
Okay, but now what are you going to do about these dead bodies? These were still human beings. Somebody's going to notice them missing. Like, what's the plan here, buddy? Nobody's going to know I'm here. Somebody's going to know someone was there.
Take out the trash. Just out to the curb?
Surprised.
What are you talking about?
I'm surprised that line is in there. I will say, one of the...
out with no suspicion whatsoever. Nobody heard a thing. Right. He's in a hotel. I mean,
yeah, nobody heard that. Uh-huh. Okay. I will say one of the more redeeming things of this, and I use this with very heavy quotes, one of the more redeeming features of this particular episode, at least I thought, was Wanda. I was getting hints of Matt Murdock. I did like the fact that she's going in, she's doing her research. Like, she clearly, you know, if she started off like, oh, I hate pro bono work. Oh my gosh. Oh no, this kid is definitely a child murderer. I've got to go, you know, try and defend this child murder. She does her due diligence, looks through the files, finds out, wait a minute, something isn't adding up. And she's doing her research and she figures out, wait a minute, this is all corruption. This stuff was planted. And, you know, just in talking with him, interviewing him, she's figuring out, yeah, man, I know you didn't do it.
I'm a good boy. But the funny thing about that whole thing is, written well, it would have been almost like she's looking through all these files and talking to people. Instead, she opens it up and she's like, oh my God, what did I find here on the front page of this file?
Right.
Obvious corruption. And I'm just like,
Look, this box is checked here. It says obvious corruption.
I'm surprised they didn't do that. Sign here if you did a crime. Captain Police Officer Esquire.
Oh my God, he did it.
I knew it.
how did no one see this before me?
Look, it came with a DVD, that new technology that just came out. I love all the old the guy checks his beeper, pulls out his old ass cell phone, pulls out the antenna. But she's I've got the information on this data disk, and it's like, oh hun.
And the
I
fact,
don't know. Were you guys blown away when he opened the car door and what's his name spilled out?
oh, overkill, no.
Oh yeah. At
Were you
that
blown
point.
away? I mean, that was so crazy.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
Don't worry.
he now had the weapons that he used in his human form, so he was, able to destroy Overkill now.
Yeah.
He had guns
Yeah.
now.
What is he doing with my weapons?
The last thing you want is that, chain he can control through telepathy or anything. He wants guns.
Yeah.
Hellfire,
Yeah.
magical chains, guns.
Even though they show us in the next episode how useful his super chains are.
I thought that was actually pretty cool. That when he
Yeah,
when he
that
came down
part
from
was
the
kinda
tree
cool.
Like
That's
that,
what
that was kind of cool.
I feel like Todd needed to go back and rewatch his own shit.
Yeah.
The only thing I
Like the
didn't
cool stuff is not what you're doing.
The only part I didn't like about that, because it was
Mm-hmm.
great, like he smashed the thing smashed his pistol with the chain and all that. But then when he's going back up in the tree because he hears sirens, it takes 20 minutes for his cape to get back up.
Yeah.
It lingered on his cape, and I'm like, that's not suspicious anyway. It's like
That
we're
looked
gonna
like an
make-
octopus retreating into the reef.
So what they also didn't show you, Keith, was at the time the police officers were, we left our guns back, and hold on. So they have to go back, get them, and then they have to stop and be like, you know what? We should shut our body cams off real quick. We're about to check that obvious corruption checkbox.
Yeah. And then, speaking of every character on this show is a cliche, when they go to the detectives and he's got the donuts opened up and he's like, puts his cigarette out in his coffee, then drinks it. He's like, ugh. But
God, that
Drinks
was
it again anyway.
he
so dumb.
I don't understand why oh God, what is the Gotham cop that I'm thinking? I can never. Harvey,
Bullock.
Yeah, Bullock.
Bullock.
Why
Yeah.
Dime Store Bullock orders about that Twitch guy, and he's like, give me a hoagie while you're at it. Find out what this is
Right.
going on here.
It's all about how fat he is and how much he eats.
Yeah, constantly. I'm like, oh dear God.
That's the entire joke.
Wait,
Okay. Does he work for the police, or is he like a private eye?
Yeah, because he's sitting there watching TV in his office.
And then he's got this assistant.
He's got
So
this
that's what I
lackey over
was
here.
very confused by that. I'm looking at the stuff behind his desk, and I'm like, okay, is this dude, does he work for the police, or is he just like an investigator, and he's like just maybe he used to work for the police, now he's just like a private eye detective?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Doesn't matter.
It probably
He's just a
doesn't.
curious fellow.
But I always assumed he was a detective. But you're right. He seems more like he's a private eye. They're watching you. Sorry.
All notes.
Nope, everyone's gone. But
Oh,
Oh crap.
who hired him then?
I don't think Todd thought about that.
No, he didn't.
No,
You're right.
maybe we'll get a narration in next week's episodes.
Maybe we missed it in the narration when we were sleeping before the show.
By the way, I totally forgot to tell you, Donut Cop, I forgot his name. He was hired by Wanda's sister.
I looked it up.
Hold on,
Circle.
His name is Sam Burke.
Sam Burke. Okay.
And the other guy is Twitch Williams.
Twitch.
Sam
Okay.
Burke. Wasn't that the White Sox opening day starter, Sam Burke? I think it was actually.
I only watch real baseball.
Yeah, well.
My Tigers are 0-3. But, you know.
Oh, it does say New York City Police Department. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
You know
wow.
what, they don't.
Well, he's a cop.
Just the way they behave doesn't seem like. You know, it's funny too because Wanda cleared the one. I can't remember the other. The obviously a little slow person, and
so sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Twitch is also a detective. He's his partner.
Why does he order him about like that then?
I don't know. Oh, but here's one better. Okay, I didn't know this. Listen to his full name. Maximilian Stephen Percival Twitch, which is his nickname, Williams III.
Oh my God, this is ridiculous.
Is a detective paired with Sam Burke. In this duo of detectives, Twitch is mainly seen as the brains of the group. Nerd!
Give me a hoagie, nerd.
They should have had not Sam Burke. They should have had him just like be one name because the other guy was like a mile long. His name.
Oh yeah,
So
you're
it
right.
should have been like Charday or something.
What's your name? Sean. Sean what? Just Sean.
Just Sean.
Okay.
Who's this other guy? Maria Conchita Alonso Fernandez.
All I know is. Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. See the guy on top. That's Alberto Falcone. I'm telling you.
I just want. I don't know how, like in this first season, how they're going to wrap up some of these storylines they got going on, because we got, like the lowly mob guy Tony Twist. Obviously, the Italians are mad at him now because that's not a cliched mob thing. Oh, the family back in Italy sent him ahead.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, I love that. That whole like, Rome is gonna be upset.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
We got the CIA guy who's running the false, the weapon shipments to other bad countries, and he's making that guy president. And we got to kill Spawn, and Billy Kincaid, the like ice cream man, who is the son of the congressman. They're looking into him. They got so many just weird storylines out there that aren't really touching, and I don't know if they're going to, especially 2 episodes left. I feel like we're not going to get. Oh, and Angela shows up.
Yes, the redhead. She's probably going to be Mary Jane in the new Spider-Man movie.
What?
Everyone's Mary Jane in the new Spider-Man.
Yeah, Angela, the redhead who kicks ass, right?
Yeah.
Red-headed angel who's been doing this for centuries, taking out
Yeah.
Spawn. She took out the last 2. Damn it if she ain't gonna take out the next one.
And I love too how she's introduced. She buys the paper, and the guy's like, "Oh my God, she's gorgeous." And then those thugs, "Hey," grabbing her junk. "You want some fun? Oh yeah, come around here." And they're like, "Oh, we're getting knives out now." And she just
I didn't understand that. Okay, so first off, weird thing to do. I guess totally normal in a TV show or movie or comic book or whatever. You're gonna have stupid thugs. But here's the part of the interaction that I don't fully get. So clearly they were ready and willing to be violent. We know that much, right? But when they say, they're grabbing their junk, like, "Hey, you want us to show you good? I've got I'm really good with my tongue, that kind of stuff." And she responds with, "Okay, yeah, sure." At that point, why do you still pull out your knife?
Because that's his idea of fun.
She's lifting up her skirt, like. I mean, granted, yeah, he got his ass kicked, but still, like, I don't believe this situation warrants your your response.
You know why you can't fathom that, Doug? Because we are sane. We don't think like that.
Okay, all right.
That is absolutely ridiculous. You're getting no resistance.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, sorry. Yes. You're getting absolutely, again, no resistance. Why use the weapon?
Unless that's what he digs. That's his kink. Maybe.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's what
No,
I mean.
right. I guess.
We
Okay,
can't-
not your status quo. We
can't
don't
relate
kink
to
shame.
it.
We kink ask why.
We can't relate to it because we don't think that way.
We don't kink shame, but we hate horrible, cliched characters like the two that approached Angela in the alleyway.
Now, real quick, tangent time. So there is an anime that I told you gentlemen about, and I think it might have been in our book as well. It's actually, it's really well done. The main character is a bit cringy sometimes, but he's also tormented in the fact that he's died like hundreds and hundreds of times, and he keeps getting reset. So he shows up in this, he's reborn into a new world, and the first thing he does is he encounters two thugs like this, like two or three thugs, and he says what everybody else is thinking. Oh, this old cliche? Let me guess. You guys are going to pull out knives next? And the one guy goes, how'd you know? And it's like, oh, wow, that's actually pretty... That's funny. I like that the anime did that. It's like they knew what they were going to do, and they're like, yeah, we know it's a cliche, so we're going to, we're going to call it out. This show, Spawn, on the other hand, I think when Todd wrote that, I don't think it occurred to him that this is any kind of like stupid cliche. I think he's just like, and then she's gonna lift up her skirt, and then they're gonna pull out knives anyway.
They're so bad. Oh my God, people don't understand.
Nobody's ever done this before.
I should make a comment to talk about this in my opening monologue because they're not gonna get how the difference between evil and good. Or light, or L.
I got him to go. I got him to go do something. I don't know if I was like getting a bottle of water or something with my lunch. I don't remember what, but I didn't even see the Todd McFarlane opening for episode 5 or 4. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't see the opening for episode 4, so I didn't watch how cringy that one was.
That's so funny because I knew where the show was switching over, and I went up to get a drink. Because all I would miss would be him talking about something.
Right.
See, I watched it because I wanted to, and now I can't remember even what he said. Because it was just like the same thing. He's always, and that's this or that. And I'm the creator of Spawn. Like, that holds any weight with anybody.
Right.
And then, of course, my favorite line, he's like, and now Spawn. So turn off your lights.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Turn off
okay.
your lights.
Yikes.
For Spawn. And that was the other thing that I was going to mention. So he tells us to turn off our lights to get ready for Spawn. This show is drawn so dark. Like, so many of the scenes take place in dark alleys or at night, and I'm sure it probably shows up better on like the pages of a comic book where you can intermingle it with like other colors or something. But on your TV screen in the old TV letterbox view, it doesn't look great. There was a lot of times I'm like, what are we watching?
Like when he's sleeping in the trash, and I'm looking like, what is going on there? Okay. Oh.
I was mentioning
he's having bad dreams.
Like, Doug, you were saying the animation gets better in season 2 and 3, and
that's what I've read. Yeah.
And that's what I was thinking. All right, the animation wasn't that bad in the first 2 episodes, and then I thought nosedived in these 2 episodes. I was like, what the hell?
I agree. I was thinking the same thing. I'm watching these, and I'm like, well, what the heck happened? I mean, in the first 2 episodes, it didn't look that terrible to me. I was a bit more accepting of it because I said it reminded me of a lot of other cartoons in the 90s. And one that it reminds me the most of, or the 2, I guess, would be that Men in Black cartoon that came on around the same time frame, and also Extreme Ghostbusters. 2 very edgy 90s, but those were made for kids, cartoons. And I think it was a different animation house that did these, but the art style looks very similar. If you guys look that up, at any point, like look up the Men in Black cartoon or Extreme Ghostbusters, you'll see what I'm talking about. Especially like with the monsters, they look very similar to this art style in Spawn. And so I was expecting, okay, cool, we're going to continue that. And yeah, Dave, I agree with you. It does feel like it nosedived in these 2 episodes. And I'm guessing that maybe that must be what happened. Maybe they overdid the budget and they didn't have enough to do like the final 4 episodes of the season, like, make them as good. Maybe that's why they switched animation houses in season 2.
I'm afraid I'm never going to find that out, though. I don't think I'm going to watch season 2.
I don't know. We might have some more off time.
We're picking an anime if we do. We're not letting the hooligans out on social media decide again. But
we're not going to let our wonderful fans pick for us again.
No. This is what they did to us. They're sitting back laughing. Because even Cajun said, I didn't make it 5 minutes.
Oh, damn. That is bad.
But it's so bad, and like not in a good way, that I'm intrigued. I probably will at some point turn on season 2 just to see if the writing and animation get any better, more coherent. Like it's a better show. Because like I said, there is a good show in here somewhere that could be brought out by a better writer. And it could be interesting. But how they've handled it, it's like they don't execute well on any of the things. It's all narrated. It's all talked at us, like we've talked about before. The animation is so dark, it's hard to tell what's going on screen. They constantly... Every character is the worst cliche possible for that thing. There's no shining light characters or people who break, tradition or anything. It's all just it's almost, and I was thinking about this when he was robbing the CIA hold. I'm like, if this would have been made now, I would be convinced it was written by AI. But because it was in the 90s, I'm like, someone really wrote like this. Like, did no one proof this and go, I really don't understand this story. Why is this? Oh, well.
Did anybody proof it? That's hilarious, Keith. Come on. Of course not.
No one would proof the great
Todd did.
McFarlane. Yeah.
This is so badass. Put more tits in it.
He's got animation, but he's not related to Seth MacFarlane, is he?
No.
It's right at the same time as Family Guy.
I did look that up, and no, they're not related.
Good.
But no, I don't know. I'm pretty sure I've seen a Family Guy episode with more depth than that.
Every character on Family Guy has more depth, including
we've already commented how they have to use a bunch of like really bad narration to explain what's going on because clearly the show doesn't give us enough context. How much you want to bet the last 2 episodes they're gonna realize we're gonna get to the last episode and they're gonna realize, as it's wrapping up, oh no, we forgot to explain everything that just happened and it wasn't clear. Quick, do a text crawl.
I bet they do.
Would that not be right up there? Like, I mean, okay, we've already used narration. What is the next move of any terribly written show? Bad text crawl.
Yep.
You know
it makes sense when you open Star Wars because they did that on purpose. That was meant to be like it was showing love to the serialized, like sci-fi dramas of the time. That's why they did that. But any other like movie and show that like does it in this modern era, usually it's because they've stuck themselves in a corner they can't figure out. Did you guys ever watch the Last Airbender movie?
Nope.
No.
Good, don't. It opens up with a text crawl because they realize, shit, people aren't going to understand what's going on and we don't explain it in the movie.
What was I going to say?
What were you going to say? What did I
I don't know.
Did it have to do with the narration?
It was. Go ahead, Keith.
I was going to say, did it have to do with your favorite character, the Violator Clown?
What? No, I'm ADHD, so that's totally gone until we're off the air, I'm sure. That's just the way it works. But hey, have we even gone to the second episode?
Yeah, we
episode
did.
4
We
yet?
talked. Yeah.
We kind of started talking about it. Yeah. It's all kind of like jumbled together, but yeah, so like I guess this does kind of continue. It does sort of pick up where the previous episode left off, where episode 3 left off. So, we're dealing with Spawn has nightmares. So Spawn sleeps, I guess, even though he's in a corpse. Does he still need to eat too? Like, I'm confused on the lore of what Spawn is and how he works because it seems to change from episode to episode.
I really thought, by the way, when the vagrant guy, the bum, as he called himself, offered him like some moldy bread and stuff, I thought he was going to be like, no, but I'll take that whiskey and like pound a bunch of whiskey because that
I'm
would
surprised
be
you didn't.
a 12-year-old.
Right.
That's what cool people do. They chug whiskey.
They chug whiskey.
It's disgusting. It's an insult to the intelligence. But you even go back to that far back, 28 years ago, and
Is it that long?
Yeah, was it
Shit.
groundbreaking back then?
I mean, I think it must have been because everything that I read about it prior to us doing the review last week, everything that I read about it is it supposedly did really well. It did so well that HBO ordered a second and a third season. The toy sales were apparently pretty good.
But once again, I think that has a lot to do with because it was my salad days during the 90s. I was in my 20s.
Okay.
And I would have watched this and been like, this is total trash. I really think it was young kids. It was like Dave said earlier, a 12-year-old writing for 10-year-olds. It was like young kids watching it on HBO when they shouldn't have been.
This is so
my
bad.
God, boobies.
Mom opens the
killing
door. What are you
people.
doing? Nothing. I'm watching Saturday Night Live.
I'm combing my hair.
Wasn't
I'm
Eon
watching porn,
Flux on at this time too? Around that time?
Was it what out?
Eon Flux?
Oh yeah,
Did that
yeah,
come
I
out?
thought that
definitely
came
was.
out earlier.
It was earlier in the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not really groundbreaking. There were shows
Oh
like
no. Yeah. Okay. Eon Flux came out in '91.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that was around. So it was, it's. I
No,
don't
no.
know.
This wasn't
I don't
groundbreaking by.
understand the appeal.
No, I mean, if you think about it, like all this did was it just lifted the censor a little bit more. I mean, if you think about the other things that were out around this time, you had what was it with Pamela Anderson? You had Stripperella that came out. You had Ren and Stimpy for kids, and I mean, you had Beavis and Butthead. I mean, you think about that stuff nowadays, and it's like anyone who let their kids watch that stuff. South Park came out around this time. I want to say it
did.
came out like 98, 99.
Yep.
And that's the kind of stuff that it usually came out late at night. It's not really meant for kids, but if you have the channel, kids are going to watch it anyway.
It's so much easier for kids to watch that stuff now because of like DVRs and stuff.
Oh yeah, DVRs, just streaming in general. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Mom's gone. I'm gonna watch my shows on Paramount
I want to watch
Plus.
that awesome show Spawn.
It's on Max.
It probably would. I bet if more people knew about it, and it might actually start gaining popularity again. Like, I mean, the only reason why I added it to our list of a potential thing to review is because technically, and that's the best kind of, nerd correction, is being overly technical. Technically, Spawn lives in the same universe as Invincible, so I thought it'd be a nice, fun tie-in. Which, total aside, I won't go into too much detail about it. Apparently, there was an MTV version of Invincible that was supposed to come out in the 90s and it never did.
Huh. I did not know that.
I guess it turned out it was really bad, so it never aired.
Now we
Well,
need
they're
to
in the
find
same-
it.
they're
We
in the
do need to
same
find it.
universe.
Yeah.
And so, does that mean they're on the same comic book line? What
Yeah,
is
they both belong to Image Comics.
Image.
Yep.
And I think Doug told us during
Walking
our
Dead's on.
Invincible that Spawn showed up in the Invincible War in the comics.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, and I thought I read that Spawn was going to be in season 4.
Oh, he might be. That'd be
Very
interesting.
possible, yeah.
Now,
But
are
I
they
hate
going
see a
to?
tie-in.
Are they going to get back? What's his name to voice him?
Keith David.
That would be awesome.
Keith David. Yeah.
Yeah,
They should.
If he came back, that would be awesome.
Now, not to spoil it for you, gentlemen, but I also read that at this point, because it's still an ongoing comic, by the way, at this point in the comics, he now goes as King Spawn. And I wish I was joking because he's like now the king of hell or some shit. I don't know.
Is he like LeBron James? Does he fall down a lot?
They had to crank up the edge, Dave. They ran out of shit.
Oh, and that's
They're
funny.
like King Spawn, yeah.
Cajun said I was one of those kids sneaking to watch Snickety. You know, I think we all did that. Like, you know, we had HBO. We had the big antenna, and I remember like my mom going to bed or something. So me and my brother are like, "Oh, what movie's on late? Oh, I hope we see some." And it's like my mom would come out. "Oh, we're just watching NBC. You're watching Meet the Press? Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah. I have to thank my my great aunt. Every single time I think about like all the stuff that my parents never let me watch, I was able to convince my great aunt to let me because she was like she would babysit me quite a bit when I was younger, and she was a very hands-off individual. But she was a very like hands-off babysitter. Like, here, you do whatever you want. Auntie will be, watering her flowers or in the next room or whatever. Okay. And then there was this little video store down the street from where she lived. And so we'd always go there, rent a couple of videotapes and everything. And Mom wouldn't let me watch RoboCop, but Aunt Phyllis would. So she rented me all the RoboCop movies, and I got to watch, as I'm like I don't know, 6 or 7, and I'm watching like all the blood and the guts and the cussing. I'm like, this is so cool. And so, she says, after my parents come pick him up after the weekend, I just wanted to know, you were okay with him watching those robot cop movies? My mom said, no. She said, oh, well, he watched about 3 of them.
And I got them for him, so I know.
Right. He told me you'd be okay with it.
When my nephews were much younger, they're now like 24 and 21. But when they were much younger, I went over to babysit them. And I didn't know they weren't allowed to watch the Star Wars movies.
Really?
They were like 5 and 4, maybe 5 and something like that. They were young.
Star Wars was made for kids.
I know. But we won't get into that. They weren't allowed to watch it. But
okay.
They were like, can we watch, Phantom Menace? I'm like, I don't think you guys are allowed to watch it. And they told me the whole story. They said, we've seen it before. And they told me everything that happens. And I went, oh, yeah, okay, cool. We watched it. Found out they knew the story by playing Lego Star Wars. And weren't really allowed to watch it. And I should have.
Great.
And it's like when I wasn't really, they were like just like this in front of the TV. So I was just like kicking back on the couch and, relaxing. But then I'm like, during the mall Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan scene, they were just like eyes this big watching, and I'm like, I'm starting to not think they've actually seen this before.
You seem like this is your first time watching the scene.
Did that guy get chopped in half?
Yeah.
What the?
It didn't look like that in the Legos. I mean, when we saw this before. Oh, just so you
They're
know,
gonna have
Doug,
nightmares for months.
Doug, Sierra redeemed Emperor Palpatine. So you're on the clock, sir.
Oh, did she now? She redeemed Emperor Palpatine. Good, because Emperor Palpatine loves Spawn. He loves it so much. This is gonna be shit to my voice, which just came back. Oh, God.
Just Sierra, welcome in, obviously. Happy to have you. It does seem spot on that Emperor Palpatine would love Spawn because, he's his dark figure who, menaces. Of course, one little thing. I think I figured out what's going to happen with Angela, this angelic presence who's killed the last two Hellspawns. And I want a chance to kill this one, or whatever she said.
Sounds like Jedi scum. Order, execute Order 66 on her.
She's going to find out this Spawn isn't bad. He wears his old wedding ring. And they're going to team up.
Heart on his sleeve, really.
Because, I don't know if you guys know this, if you didn't hear the narration, the fight between heaven and hell is ongoing all the time.
I did catch
stops.
that. Yes, I heard it in the beginning, and I thought to myself, what would really make this much easier is, rather than it being a domino effect, it's a little too slow. What they should have done, what the devil should have done, is convinced the local government to elect him into a sort of high leadership position. I'm not saying this from, any sort of real situation. This didn't happen to me. But, if he were to convince someone to, perhaps give him more powers, that he would totally return when he was done with them and orchestrate a war between two sides and be in charge of both sides warring against each other and have a clone army fight against a robot army. And then, yes.
Okay, Caesar.
That could work. Once again, the parallels between Star Wars in a sense that outlined as a story, it was pretty good. The prequels, I should say, but they didn't execute on them well. Much like this show, they've got a good story hidden in there if they could soften some of the cliched edges over all of it. But they just don't execute on it well, and it really is one of those things that.
Did you say execute?
I do have an order.
66. Hey, why are you getting Chinese takeout? Order 66.
I really like this L. Simmons character. I think that he would be a wonderful apprentice. Good. Strike me down. End me. Use your magic chains or guns, I guess.
I was going to say, would you be happy with your apprentice using guns and not a lightsaber?
So, what's the word I'm thinking of? Just
get the job done.
Not something that I would want to use myself. I prefer if my lightsaber is golden and shaped like a dildo.
Just now noticing the staff.
So uncivilized, those guns.
It is a very uncivilized weapon. So true, Emperor.
Obi-Wan said that too. Yes, well, I agree with him on that one thing. Everything else.
Even Jedis get something right every once in a while. Blind squirrel, whatever.
That's one of the coolest parts about the show is his cape. It's a really cool cape. I mean, maybe I'm alone, but I think it's great.
As a character, as he's drawn in the comics, Spawn looks good. But you got to look good and be well written. And that is not this show in any way.
Todd McFarlane felt the same way as he drew some art for Doctor Strange.
Oh, I bet he did do the
Oh, yeah. Now that you think
cloak
about
of
it.
levitation like that. So really nothing on Spawn is that original. It's, Ghost Rider. It's Son of Satan. A little bit of little Doctor Strange. So yeah, shocking that there's no original ideas coming from and your 5 minutes is up, Emperor. Nothing truly original coming out of the brilliant mind of Todd McFarlane.
I'm Todd McFarlane, creator of Spawn.
Well, it's definitely not supposed to be a superhero show. I mean, it's listed as a horror comic, but I'm not horrified.
Well, and that's the thing. It's not even horror. Has
not really
that
scary. No, it's more boring than anything. It should be more exciting. Like, having all of these. I should be as equally entertained by this as I feel like if I were to watch a Batman Beyond episode, which was meant for kids, but still, like, I can watch an episode of that and I can be entertained, by like watching this super techno Batman fight up a bunch of monsters and creatures and everything. But now I'm watching Spawn, a magic Satan bred creature with a magic cape and super chains and guns now.
I wouldn't imagine I've ever had Satan bread. Can you toast that, or does it come already toasted?
But it comes already toasted.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so
Burnt
like
even.
you're watching this and you have to dig deep to find a relevant story because it's so piecemeal, and they know that so much. The fact that we already talked about how it's like they have to put in this narration to explain everything that they left on the cutting room floor or just never bothered to animate. I don't know.
And it's retroactive. It's not like they thought about it beforehand.
Yeah.
And then wrote their story. It's like they said, "Oh, this happened. I have to go back and explain that."
Yes.
Sometimes while I'm watching, I'm like, okay, are they doing it because they only had like 25 minutes? Like HBO said, you got a half hour.
Maybe.
Because back in the days, shows started at on the hour, and for HBO they'd last like 25 minutes. Then they'd show some stuff. Hey, don't forget about our other shows on HBO. And so they were forced, but you're right. It's not like they said, okay, we'll show this and we'll have the narrator say this. It'll come in later, like as an afterthought. Oh, yeah, in case you were wondering why this made no sense, hell spawns often go back to what they originally did in their lives. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so
That's what he did in life.
he oh yeah. Thank you, Dave. Yeah. So like for instance, the in episode 3, one of the things that he's doing is spying on his ex-wife as she's remarried. It's been 5 years. She's, wanting to get it on with her new husband. They've been married. They've got a kid together. And he's watching them through the window like it's the ultimate betrayal. And it's like, bro, you died. What did you think was going to happen?
That's the gray area, Doug. It's gray.
She's kind of hot. I can see what
People
I can
see
stay
it
single
as
forever,
good
man.
and evil, but we see it shades of gray.
Oh, also, I love that. Yeah, I also love that if you do a deep dive into Spawn's lore like I did on his Wikipedia page, not on the one from actual Wikipedia. There's like a Spawn wiki on there. It lists as one of the reasons that his marriage was on the rocks is that he was shooting blanks.
Well, they mentioned that. They mentioned that in the show.
In the wiki, it says, and he was shooting blanks, ... in the bedroom. So that we're not confused that, I know.
Wow. Wait, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Hold on, I'll look up the narration to explain it to you.
You can find that clip of Jennifer Lawrence going, what does that mean? What does that mean?
What does that mean? Did I ever tell you the story about them forcing me to shoot my blanks when I was in the Marines? When we were doing field exercises?
That's gross, Keith.
Well, as Doug knows, you have to clean your rifle when you're done.
Yep.
And so
Is this all metaphors?
Yes, it's all metaphor. I wouldn't shoot my blanks. I was saving myself for marriage, and then I'd always be the first one to turn my rifle in because I didn't have to clean all the carbon out of the bore. And finally, they realized it, and every time we were out in the field, they'd come up to me and go, "Shoot your rifle." Do I really have to? Yep. And I'm like, stupid sons of mother.
You just want me to clean stuff.
Speaking of having to clean your rifle after shooting blanks, when I was still in MOS school, there was this huge kerfuffle with like the way the classes were working and everything, and they ended up breaking up my class with the company that I was with, and splitting us up into different groups. I ended up getting put into a class with people from a whole different, I was part of Delta Company. I was going to class with people from Charlie Company. And so when we went to our final field exercise to graduate from MOS school, I went out with them, and therefore I used one of their rifles from their armory. And so when we all came back, what we were supposed to do technically was, all go back to our company. Again, I wasn't with them, and clean the rifles, turn them in. And we're supposed to do it in the barracks. Again, I did not live in their barracks. I didn't, belong to their company, none of that stuff. So when we got back, I ended up they sent me back to my barracks, which I wasn't living in those at the time. I was in some weird trailer barracks thing. And so the trailer was locked. So I went back to the Delta Company barracks and I said, what am I supposed to do with this rifle? They said, well, it's not ours. They said, go take it back to Charlie Company. I'm like, but I don't have anything to clean it with. They said, not our problem. So I walked back to the armory for Charlie Company. I'm like, okay, here's your rifle. Like, did you clean it? I'm like, I can't. With what? I don't have anything to. And I'm like, I have to give it to you. I don't belong to your company. And they had no choice. They had to accept it. And that goes like against everything in the military. You don't turn in a dirty weapon. And to be fair, I would have cleaned it if I could have, but I had nothing on me. All of my gear was in those trailer barracks, which the door was locked during the day while everybody was in their MOS school classes. So I had nothing. I couldn't even shower. That was the worst part. We had just gotten back from the field. I had this dirty rifle, dirty uniform. I'm covered in sweat and dirt, and I can't shower because I don't have a uniform to change into or my soap or anything. I literally have to wait until night to go back to the trailer barracks to get my stuff.
Well,
that was fun.
I was gonna say on that story, we should probably rate Spawn now because
we've really given this much more time than we should have.
Yeah. But I mean, like, God, imagine if we were just straight to the point, talk about the episodes, we would have been done in a half an hour.
Yeah, that's probably all the time it deserved, actually.
It's so much fun.
We could have talked. We could have talked about any other news. We could have talked about the new style of bats that the Yankees are using this year. We could have done anything.
After this, I do have some doomsday news.
Well, then let's get to it.
Yay.
My rating for these two shows.
Did they bring out another chair?
No. This is rumors about the plot.
Okay, cool. That's probably better than these episodes. So, you want to rate it?
Sure.
Yep. I rated it already. Do you hear me?
No, I didn't hear you.
I said, just so we can get to that news, my rating is a 1.5.
Now, that is a Dave rating.
And I don't want to do each individual episode. That's just what you get right there. I mean, we went over how bad it is.
All right. Keith?
See, I'm actually going to be a little above Dave this time. Lower than what I was on the first two episodes, but yeah, this has continued to be the only redeeming quality is Keith David's voice acting. Everything else, the characters are cliched, the art is not good, the story is incomplete. There's nothing that I find redeemable about these episodes. So I'm going to give episodes 3 and 4 a 2.
So I'm definitely in a similar boat as you guys, but I'm going to be a little bit nicer to it, just a tad bit. So I've gone in, with a clear mind, open heart. I'm willing to give this show a chance because I was rewatching our review from last time, and I was listening to Dave, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, well, maybe I was being a bit too harsh on it. Maybe I need to give it a try. So went in, I watched it. Initially, I was watching it while I was making the thumbnails. And so, I've got it on one screen. I'm like, well, that's dumb. Oh, okay, that's stupid. That's cliche, whatever. But I'll give it this. While everything to do with the main character of Spawn in probably both episodes was inconsequential. Like, I don't even care about him. He's not the most interesting character. The character development of Wanda, I think, was actually more interesting. And I also kind of like it's very half-baked, and they did a terrible job of explaining this weird heaven hell war thing. But I kind of like the idea of, Angela and what was the other the woman that she yelled at?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't
I
think
don't
of her
remember her
name.
name now, but I thought that was an interesting idea. Very half-baked, but I think like what Keith was saying before, I think there's a story there. They're just doing a really bad job of explaining it, of laying it out. So I'm not telling the story very well, but I think there's something good there. Um, so yeah, it's very edgy, it's very over the top, it's unnecessarily, vulgar for the sake of it's very much we're allowed to do this on HBO, so we're going to do this kind of thing. It's sort of like when South Park got the okay when they're like, we can say shit now on TV. And so they made an entire episode where they said shit like 700 times.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's very much in that same vein. So we're watching, this very darkly shot animation with half-baked characters that are all cliche, where they have to explain everything with like a narrated voiceover. And then in the middle of it, we get this kind of interesting thing where we find out that um, Simmons' wife, it was a very, good attorney, by the way. And granted, I think that they did a disservice by having her open the folder. Oh my gosh, nobody noticed this before. Ah, corruption.
Right in the checkbox.
I think they did it a disservice by cutting that out. I think that if that would have been expanded, I think that could have been a very interesting story. Now, the fact that they decided to take that a step further and somehow involve her new husband also in this weird weapons selling to North Korea and also evil Landia, and somehow there's like a pedophile son involved. They started to make it convoluted. It's a mess. It's a mess of a show. And I think they had too many ideas and they didn't give each of the ideas enough time. So I think there was a story hidden there and they just did it a disservice. Maybe it's better in the comics. But for these two episodes, I'm gonna do the same thing as Dave. I'm gonna give them just one rating for the two of them. I'm gonna say it's a 3 out of 10 because, like I said, I think some of the scenes were okay. I kind of liked the scene in the tree where he's using his chains instead of guns. I like the fact that I do like Keith David's voice. It's probably one of the better parts of Spawn. But then you have to add in all of the stupid stuff like I've never seen anybody pull a move like that. The last person I saw was Al. It's like, okay, that's dumb. And then of course any scene with the Violator is stupid as well. So, yeah, 3 out of 10 could have been better. I expected better. The animation was even worse in these two episodes compared to the first two. I don't know if they used up all their budget. I don't know what happened, but yeah. So that's Spawn. Turn your lights off.
There it is, folks. And we're
Turn
not
your
done
lights
yet.
off.
Wait until next week when we got more.
We will be back next Monday, finishing up season 1 of this show. But now,
And then when do we start season 2?
No.
we'll get back to you.
No, I refuse. Season 2 of The Last of Us.
Yeah, that's starting here in a few weeks. Now, are you guys ready for some so-called spoilers? If some of these are true, I kind of like them.
Okay.
So, according to Scuttlebutt online,
Scuttlebutts, you said?
Scuttlebutt, rumors, as you will.
Uh-huh.
So, the storyline is going to revolve around a final incursion,
Mm-hmm.
which is obviously going to be the Avengers MCU universe against the X-Men, Fox X-Men universe, which we saw in the Marvel's post-credit scene. And if you've read the comics, especially Hickman's run on the Avengers and the New Avengers leading into 2015 Secret Wars, there was an incursion between the Ultimate Universe and the comic 616 universe. and it turned into like a massive sort of battle between these two universes. And it was pretty well done. I liked it. Anything Hickman does, I like. So I think they're going to try to do something around those lines between the MCU and the Fox X-Men universe. So we're going to see that going on, which I like. And then they sort of hinted that the reason, or I shouldn't say the reason, Doctor Doom is going up against the TVA. And I think I might know why. They didn't talk about this in the rumor. They just say, while that's going on, Doom's going up against the TVA to try to take him down. And what I think what I think could explain it and why we haven't met Doctor Doom yet is because Kang's, or He Who Remains, sacred timeline kept Doom down because he knew he'd be a threat to Kang. And so Doom is going up against the TVA, the sacred timeline, because it's basically keeping Doom out of power. And so it's going to have the X-Men versus the Avengers. Because
Are we talking about Kang's old TVA or the current TVA?
Kang's old TVA.
Okay, so we're going to get like a little flashback kind of thing?
Probably, yes.
Okay.
And that may be how Loki gets involved, seeing as he's going up against the TVA, even the old TVA. We'll see Loki getting involved with his, tree of multiversal power, whatever you want to call it. And then they've said, of course, expect Hulk versus Wolverine.
Oh, all right.
Spider-Man getting his symbiote suit.
Oh, all the things. We're going to do it all, huh?
And, of course, the Fantastic Four joining the MCU timeline, which we've talked about before. I definitely think that, Reed building his little multiversal bridge will bring things about and include incursions and all that's going on. Because we know, obviously, the one incursion from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is happening. It sounds like we're definitely getting an incursion in the Fox X-Men universe in this. So, I kind of like those leaks. I'm hoping it's true.
So, how long is this movie supposed to be?
Probably 3 hours.
Okay, so in 3 hours, we're going to have Doctor Doom versus the TVA, Loki getting involved. Somehow we're going to get Spider-Man acquiring his symbiote suit, and also the Fantastic Four is going to find their way into the main MCU timeline. And also Wolverine is going to fight Hawk. And also we still need to worry about Doctor Doom fighting the Avengers, and also...
This will be also in a Secret Wars a little bit.
Okay, all right.
Which I do think we're going to get a announcement at some point soon that it's going to be 3 Avengers movies. It'll be Doomsday.
That would make way more sense.
Yeah.
If they were to split it, because already I've also heard a lot of these rumors, and I kind of dismiss a lot of them just because I'm of the mindset I want to go in clear-minded. I'll wait until I see a trailer, and then I'll make some judgment calls based on that. But so far, what we've received isn't a lot in the way of information about these movies, including our 5-hour presentation of some dude putting chairs out on screen. So I mean, yeah, I guess on paper some of these ideas sound cool, but if you think about the reality of how this would all work out, I keep envisioning Spider-Man 3. I keep envisioning how they kept putting more shit into it and more shit and more, and it was like even the people who were putting this movie together, okay, we already have Sandman, and we've got the second Green Goblin. Now you're telling us you want to put Venom in there too? You want the entire Venom storyline, including Spider-Man in the black suit and Eddie Brock? Also, you want Gwen Stacy in there too? All right, we'll see if we can make this. And now I'm hearing these rumors about Doomsday, possibly also Secret Wars, and possibly also a third Avengers movie. And I'm thinking they have to break this up into multiple movies because you cannot cram this much stuff. All of these characters, all of these storylines, you can't put it into one movie. There's no... I would walk in, I'd be like, what the hell am I watching? And I guarantee my review is going to be bad.
Now, the thing is, too, that you got to take all this with a grain of salt, because while Doomsday has started production, They don't begin filming till April. And if you're to believe some people, the script is not done yet.
Yeah, that would be right up the alley for Marvel. They're not going to run things like DC. DC's like, James Gunn's like, yeah, we're not going to announce things until we have a script. Marvel's like, I mean, the script will probably be done. Look at Blade.
Oh, there's been rumors circulating that Blade has been canceled.
Yeah,
Gee,
I read that.
really? Wow. Oh, man.
I
Those
heard that they
rumors sure
signed-
are up in the air. I don't think they're real, Keith.
I heard that they got the John Wick director to do Blade,
Yeah.
and then like the next day I saw that they were thinking about canceling Blade. So there's a lot of
Which
rumors out there.
I hope isn't true, because they could make... I mean, how hard is it to make a Blade movie? You got a,
Apparently very
Yeah.
hard. Because they already wrote a whole one and started filming before they realized, oh, this is terrible.
They never started filming.
I thought they did.
No, they were getting into pre-production, and then they shut it all down.
Okay. But,
at least we're not having to see some garbage, though. I mean, Sony would have went through.
That's true. At least it's not... At least we don't, at least they didn't all realize it's a bad script and then, like, film it anyway.
Yeah, like Madam Web or something.
But one of the things that I know that Disney Marvel does, and I don't know whether, any of these other big studios, whether they do this with DC movies as well as or not, but one of the things that we've heard from a lot of the actors with these movies is they never receive the full script. They never do.
Yep.
We found out from like a lot of interviews, actually somewhat recently, they were, doing interviews with, oh my gosh, what's his name? Plays Sam Wilson.
Anthony Mackie.
Anthony Mackie. Some interviews with Anthony Mackie, and he says that he didn't even know at the end of Endgame that he was going to be getting the shield. He hadn't read that part of the script yet. They had just given it to him, and he hadn't pulled it out of the envelope. And it was Chris Evans that told him. And that's how they're making these movies. The actors aren't getting the full script ahead of time. They're getting it piecemeal. And it's like, how do you make a movie like that? How do you make a... Like, I imagine that, they were probably doing maybe some table reads of some of the stuff that was going to be in Blade. And because they said that Mashar Ali, that he did not like a lot of what he read. He was opposed to a lot of it. So that tells me that he did not know what was going to be in the script until they got to that point of pre-production. And that's when they all started to realize, oh, this is really bad.
And that's
like
what
John
happens
Byrne.
when you rush. You
Yeah.
got set a date. We have to be
You want to
filmed
make
by
an
this date.
announcement, but you don't even know if you have anything yet.
Yeah. And once
they
again,
just want the hype about the character.
Yeah.
And when they keep adding, like, well, this character, is finally going to see the light of day, they're getting kind of far down the roster. You know what I mean? Less and less people are going to be excited about it. How about you, like, write a quality story before you worry about, hey, we've got this other character.
Whoa, Dave. That's some pretty high expectations there.
I know, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you better be.
I was going to say, and we know that one of the things that Disney is demanding of Marvel is more Avengers movies. They think Avengers movies always do great, so we need more of them. No phases without Avengers movies anymore. So we'll probably get some half-baked Avengers movies.
That's the other thing that annoys me about studios is they're so obsessed with this worked one time, so let's do it 18 more times, and we'll never learn why it's not working the time after that.
Well, to be honest, maybe not Age of Ultron, but all the Avengers movies have been bangers.
I liked
Age of Ultron was... I liked it too, it just wasn't, like, as good as the other ones. When the after credit scene on the first Avengers made me expect Thanos in Age of Ultron, and that was kind of a weird pivot that they did that. Maybe that's why, because I was kind of let down. I wanted to see Thanos, but they just played it out longer, and look how it turned out. Now, if they took the first two single movies, the second two Avengers movies were basically a 5 hour, or was it a 9 or 6 hour movie, which is awesome. And now if they have to break this up into 3 movies, they're gonna have movies in between that, if they did it right, they could explain some of the gaps. Have all these movies in between happen at, like, Spider-Man's supposed to happen at the same time, right? Then you explain some of the gaps in the in-between movies, and then you can make it a whole that would be a whole new cinematic experience, I think, if you got like the big movie and then you got the other movie explaining where Spider-Man was, and then now he's going to be in the next Avengers movie doing whatever he's doing. You could make a whole string of movies, like, better than the first 3 phases.
I love that you're putting so much more thought into this than they ever will.
True that.
Keith, you got some more rumors for us?
Nope, that's all well, I don't got any more rumors, but I do have
some more facts.
2 little bits of information.
Okay.
One, House of the Dragon season 3 is now in production. They're filming.
Yeah.
I don't know when that means. I still think they're looking at 2026 for actually airing, but at least it's in production. That's good news. And I guess Sony. No, this one is not. This one is a rumor too. I shouldn't have said it was a fact, but rumor has it that Sony is going to announce a animated Ghostbusters movie coming out.
I remember reading about that.
They think it's going to be at CinemaCon. That's going on right now.
Here is the rumor. The last time that I looked up any information about this, the rumor that I had heard is they're going to make an animated Ghostbusters movie, but it's going to be set in high school, where they're going to have all 4 of the original Ghostbusters, Egon, Ray, Peter, and Winston, and they're all going to go to high school together, solving ghost mysteries.
Dear God, no.
He didn't meet them until later. How would he be?
Dave, they do not give a shit. They don't care that it doesn't make sense. It is an IP that makes money. They don't care. They do not care. This is Sony.
Yeah, clearly they do not care.
Let's
reboot the whole universe.
Let's hope that is not the case, because that sounds
I do hope that isn't the case.
awful.
But that was the last that I read about it. They announced this back when back before Frozen Empire even came out, when Afterlife, I think it was still in theaters. They announced that they wanted to do another animated thing. And at the time, Dan Aykroyd was involved, and he was going to try and make the animated series based off of his original idea for Ghostbusters 2. Where the Ghostbusters all go through a portal into, like, hell or the demon realm or something like that, and they have to find a way to escape while fighting ghosts.
It's a Dan Aykroyd idea.
It's a very Dan Aykroyd idea. On the surface, maybe it would work, sure. Might get a little boring, after a while, but it's better than this new thing, which, like I said, then updates came out when Frozen Empire came out, that this was the direction they wanted to go in. Dan Aykroyd was no longer involved. And yes, like I said, I read that story synopsis. I'm like, and I thought the same thing you did, Dave. I'm like, but they didn't know Winston yet. In fact, I don't even think they knew each other until college.
Right. But they're high school.
But they're in high school.
But I guess they may be in another dimension or another timeline.
Yeah, sure, another timeline. Why not? Yeah, I don't know. I'm being being hopeful like Keith, and I'm hoping that they obviously, when that got leaked, hopefully Sony was like, oh, yep, that was a bad idea. Okay, let's do this over. Let's do something different.
If it was a more competent studio, I would think they put it out there as like a trial balloon to see like what kind of
this
good buzz.
Was leaked.
No, I know,
didn't put it out
but
there
I'm
on
saying
purpose.
I said if it was a better studio, a better run studio, they would have been like, let's put it out there, let's see what the people think, and then it'd have been like, good thing we didn't move forward with it.
Right.
Oh, and by the way, I do have another bit of information live off the hot off the presses, if you will.
Okay.
Beyond the Spider-Verse, June 2027.
Oh my God.
Yes, I did say 2027.
Okay.
Now, I hope they're taking their time to make it good, even though we got the first two movies in this trilogy, within a couple of years of each other. This one's taking forever. But the Sony panel is going on right now.
I thought I read somewhere that the original was like the one we're waiting for was supposed to come out 2 years ago this week.
I think a year ago this week.
A year ago this week, and now we got to wait 2 more years.
Yeah.
Insane. That's the thing. They found out they got some gold, and now they're gonna ruin it.
Yeah,
well, they were messing with the script for it, so expect it to be Sony-fied.
Yeah.
But I have other good news.
Ooh, all right.
Ketchup, is it Entertainment? Yeah, Ketchup Entertainment has bought Coyote versus Acme.
I read that.
And they said they're looking to release it 2026.
Nice.
Which is fantastic because that movie was getting rave reviews and all this stuff, and then, WB and their ultimate wisdom.
Infinite wisdom, yeah.
We can get a tax break for it. Yay, tax breaks.
Now, can I get somebody to buy Batgirl?
Yeah, no kidding.
That would be nice. They really should.
If it was going to be as awesome as we heard it was.
Oh my God, I was really looking forward to that.
Especially with Michael Keaton as Batman. I mean, we'll probably never see him as Batman again, especially after The Flash.
Well, he's got to go back and film more scenes as Vulture in the Morbius universe.
Oh, cool.
They're getting the Sinister Six together, you guys.
He was definitely the best part of that movie, of The Flash. And, I did read a few days ago that when they told him about the post-credit scene for Morbius, at first he said, "What? That doesn't make it." And then he said, "You know what? Who cares? Let's go try it."
I'm getting a paycheck, right?
Right. You're going to give me $50,000 to say a few words? I'll take it.
I think my favorite part about that whole situation was seeing him on one of those late night shows. I don't remember if it was Jimmy Kimmel or what it was, and they asked him, "So hey, we heard some rumors that you're filming some stuff for the Morbius movie. Maybe some scenes. You want to tell us about that?" Yeah, did some Vulture stuff. You gonna expand on that? Nope. Cool. Anyway.
Food tastes better over here.
Let's get after that Spider-Man.
He didn't want to admit, yeah, I just went into a sound booth and recorded like 30 lines, and they picked whatever ones they liked. I don't even know what the context is, how it's going to be in the movie. Well, were you in the suit? No?
He pulled a Michael Caine right there. No, I've never seen it, but I saw the house it bought me, so...
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, what is his name? Shoot. He played Hellboy.
Ron Perlman?
Ron Perlman. Oh, he's another one that he'll do like voice work, and he has no idea what show he's even doing it for half the time. Like he does so much of it that he'll go in, he'll record his lines, and then like people will be like, "Oh my God, I loved you in this role. Was I in that show? Yeah, you were like my favorite part of it. Cool, glad you liked it. I don't remember it."
He was in Poker Face. Speaking of Ron Perlman, did you watch Poker Face?
Poker Face.
No.
Was that the one with Natasha Lyonne?
Yep.
Yes, I did see that. Yes, he played the mob boss guy that was in. Yes,
he what's his name's dad. I really liked it too. There were some times like little things I'd be like, that's going to come up later, but really well written, especially how they ended the season and kind of did all that.
I used to love Columbo when I was younger, so this was like right up. This was my cup of tea. I loved it. I needed her to also wear a trench coat and like just be like one more. Just Oh wait, one more thing.
I just liked every time someone lied, she's like, bullshit. They're like, excuse me?
Yes, that
Oh,
was great.
sorry.
I need more seasons of that show. It was
They're
so
filming
good.
season 2 right now.
Thank God. Make
Yep.
it come quicker.
That is a good show.
Mm-hmm.
Has either one of you watched Paradise on Hulu?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Sterling K. Brown, James Marsden. Becky and I are 2 episodes into it. I'm
Okay.
digging it so far.
Uh,
Basically,
What's it about?
Sterling K. Brown plays a Secret Service agent guarding the president, James Marsden.
okay.
And that's all I'm gonna
I
say.
have seen previews for that. Yeah.
I feel like
No,
it's-
I've been. My sister recommended that I watch that. The Curious Case of. Oh my gosh, what is her name? Natalia Grace. The Curious Case of Natalia Grace.
Oh my God.
that
So
rhymes.
I never saw it when it originally aired. Apparently, there's like 3 seasons of it, and now there's a series on Hulu that's like a dramatized fictional version of it. And she said, "Don't watch the show on Hulu yet. So go back, watch the documentary first." I was like, "All right." So I started watching that. And,
That is the little girl who they thought they were adopting, and it. Oh, okay, yeah.
yes.
Turned out to be Katy Perry.
No,
No,
it's way
Oh.
worse. It is
Oh.
so. You guys are dads, so this might strike you a little bit more. So this girl with dwarfism, she's born in the Ukraine. The doctors tell the mother it's going to be like $100,000 for the surgeries that she needs. So we're recommending that you don't take her home with you. We're going to put her up for adoption. Find somebody who can afford to, get up, because it was a certain form of dwarfism that apparently required a lot of surgery, otherwise she was going to die. So the mother has to give her up for adoption. She ends up getting adopted, or sent to an agency in the United States. She is put into a foster home and then immediately sent back. And then she's adopted by this family who they convince themselves they loved that movie, I guess, The Orphan. And so they convince themselves that this is the same situation, that they did not adopt a little 6-year-old girl. They instead adopted a dwarf masquerading as a 6-year-old who is actually an adult.
Oh wait, and they report her age like when she's 9. They say she's 21.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Then they
I've heard all
dump
about
her off in some apartment complex and leave her on her own to like fend for herself. She's
Yep.
a child, and they do this to her.
that. Yeah.
And so I've been watching that, and it's been, oh my gosh, I have never hated human beings as much as I do watching this show.
Yeah. I will not watch that. I will get too angry.
Oh,
I
I'm
did
so
watch,
pissed.
see a few scenes of it as I walked by, but I will not watch that. I don't want.
I also finished watching. Common Side Effects. They had their season finale Sunday night, Monday. Great show. If you guys are not watching that out there, YouTube, Twitch, you gotta check out Common Side Effects. Excellent animated show. It's on Adult Swim, and streaming on Max. Seriously, you've got to watch it. It is so good. It is very underrated, and I don't want them to cancel it. And I'm so afraid they're going to, because more people need to watch it.
Every time I turn on Max, like to watch Harley Quinn, or last week tonight with John Oliver, I was watching today, it shows it on like the top thing. So I plan on watching it. I hope it gets good enough ratings that it's not waiting on me to get renewed. Because everyone I talk to who watched it loves it.
It's one of those where I am glad that I'm watching this week by week, because it makes it better. Like it gives you that they've got cliffhangers at the end of these episodes. It's definitely a good drama series. And so it's like you watch the way it ends, like, oh my god, no, how's it gonna? And that's exactly what they did. They just did the season finale, and you're sitting there like, no, dude, you cannot tell me that's how you're ending it. What? So I need this to get renewed, or I'm gonna lose my mind.
Well, you heard it, Max. We don't want Doug losing his mind. Renew Common Side Effects. But hey, we should probably find somebody to raid.
Good idea.
A deer.
Let's see. So, who do we got? I'm seeing on my list
Dr. Detroit.
He's on?
We're doing
No,
Dr.
I
Detroit.
feel like we gotta rate him.
We're definitely.
Yeah,
I
we
haven't
have
seen him
Dr.
on in a while.
Doctor, woo woo, Doctor
Dr.
Detroit.
Now, for those of you out there on YouTube, maybe you're not entirely sure what we're talking about. What are these crazy fellow nerds even saying? Don't worry. Just something that we're doing on Twitch. It's meant to take all of our wonderful viewers out there on Twitch, send them over to another channel. It's a way to show our love to people that we like. There is something similar that's kind of like a similar version on YouTube that's like convoluted and stupid because YouTube didn't really design for live viewing. So we don't do it there, but if you enjoyed watching our program and you want to see more of this, you really love watching us talk about how much we love Spawn, then make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, tell all your friends, and get them to recommend something better for us to watch.
And we will be back Thursday night talking about episode 7 of Daredevil Born Again, so please join us.
Something good.
And then next Monday to finish up season 1 of Todd McFarlane Spawn. Hi, I'm the creator of Spawn. I'm going to tell you that 100 times because I want you to really know it.
Hey fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.